In 1944, as the war raged across Europe, a different kind of story unfolded, one of survival, hope, and resilience. This is the untold story of the European refugees who fled to Egypt during the height of World War II. When the Germans and their allies invaded southeastern Europe, the civilian toll was staggering. Families, terrified for their lives, fled their homelands in search of safety. Over 40,000 refugees, mostly women and children, escaped through the chaos, crossing the Mediterranean in a desperate bid for shelter. The British, recognizing the need to offer refuge, established the Middle East Relief and Refugee Administration, or MERRA. This initiative would see these refugees resettled in Egypt, Syria, and Palestine, offering them a glimmer of safety in the midst of a world at war. Upon arrival in Egypt, refugees faced a long and often grueling registration process. They were issued camp identification cards that contained vital information, their names, their camp identification number, work history, and any special skills they possessed. These cards would become their lifeline in a foreign land. But it wasn't just about paperwork. The refugees were required to undergo a thorough medical inspection. Many had to be washed and disinfected to ensure they were free of disease before they could join the rest of the camp. This process, though invasive, was necessary to maintain the health of the community. Once registered, the refugees were assigned to specific living quarters. These camps were often makeshift, with tents serving as homes. Space was limited, and life was harsh. There were few opportunities to leave the camp, and for many, the walls of their new world became their only reality. Food was scarce. Refugees received army rations, but these meager portions were often not enough. Occasionally, refugees could buy food from the camp canteen: beans, tea, fruit, and other staples that reminded them of their former lives. Still, the daily struggle to survive was real. In some camps, work was mandatory. Refugees were expected to contribute to the camp's upkeep, working as shopkeepers, cleaners, seamstresses, or in more specialized trades like carpentry and plumbing. Women took on additional domestic roles: cooking, cleaning, and sewing. But not all work was about survival. Some camps, like those in El Shad, in Moses Wells, offered vocational training. Refugees could learn skills that might help them rebuild their lives after the war. Nursing training, for example, was crucial, as there was a severe shortage of medical staff in the camps. Despite the hardships, a sense of community emerged. Over 30,000 people lived in the El Shad camp, and during their time there, 300 marriages were recorded, and over 650 children were born. The camp became a place of new beginnings, where people from all walks of life, displaced by war, came together and found solace in each other. In this sense, the refugee camps were not just a temporary refuge. They became home, where lives were rebuilt, love was found, and families grew. These refugees faced unimaginable challenges, yet they demonstrated remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. As the war ended and the political situation in Europe stabilized, the refugees began to return home. By 1946, the camps were no longer needed, and more than 40,000 people left Egypt and made their way back to the lands they had fled years earlier. Their return was bittersweet. For some, it was the return to shattered homes and broken communities. For others, it was the beginning of rebuilding their lives in a world that had been forever changed. But the one thing that remained was their strength, the strength to survive, to start anew, and to carry forward the lessons learned during their time in exile. The story of the European refugees who fled to Egypt in 1944 is one of human endurance and the power of compassion. These people, displaced by war, found refuge in a land far from home. Their story serves as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of providing refuge and shelter in times of crisis. As we look back on this chapter of history, we honor the survivors, the communities they built, and the hope they carried with them, no matter how far they had to travel to find it. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about the incredible stories of refugees throughout history, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more.